Good morning. Today is Monday morning, the 4th of March, 2013. Here's the news for Panama for today. There's a scandal, not a scandal really, there's a conversation going on in the press about the funds that are given to the deputies in the National Assembly by the Panamanian government for them to use in their circuits. There's one program called the Program of National Help, or the PAN. And here's an article in La Prensa from one of the PRD deputies, and he's coming out with a big reveal. I guess it's not much of a reveal when you're talking about something that everybody already knows about anyway. What they're saying is that there's companies that facilitate the corruption, basically. That supposedly it's a job to build something like a park, say for a little local town. We're going to renovate the park. Well, let's say that is a $150,000 contract. Well, when the company goes to talk to the guy who's the deputy who's got the money to do the contract, they just come right out and say, how much money do you need to get back? So the guy says, $70,000. Okay, so let me see. If you need to get $70,000, and then we need to make $70,000, so there's $140 right there. Okay, so let's do the contract for $280. Sound good? That's the way they do it. So the deputy makes money, the contractor makes money, the people get their park, but a good portion of that money, and I have no idea what the actual percentages are, but I'm sure they're pretty substantial, of this money simply gets stolen by the deputies in the National Assembly. Now, does everybody know about this? Yes. Has it been going on for years? Probably since the Republic of Panama was founded, okay? Corruption in Panama goes back to when the conquistadores came over here 500 years ago, all right? So anybody who comes out and says, there's corruption in the National Assembly, yeah, no shit. Thanks for the newsflash. La Prensa is banging away on this thing because they think that's a wedge that they're going to be able to drive into because the Cambio Democrático Party with Ricardo Martinelli has elevated this to an art form in the last 5 years. I mean, they're giving more and more money to all of these guys, these 71 deputies in the National Assembly. And who can investigate the deputies in the National Assembly? The Supreme Court. And who controls the Supreme Court? The Cambio Democrático. So, is there any chance that any of this is going to get investigated? Of course not. Is it a headline that the Prensa is going to continue to talk about? Yes. And are all the diputados, I mean, all 71 of the deputies in the National Assembly are going to go, well, if anybody has any, here's what... It's hilarious to watch these guys with a straight face. You know, if anybody has any evidence, well, they should file it with the authorities. That's what they say. That's their position. I would suggest that person who's making those claims, they should file their complaint. If they've got the evidence, they should file it with the authorities. And then we'll see what the investigation turns out. God, these guys. Anyway, whatever. Hey, listen. Corruption in Panama is like the rain. It's here. It's always going to be raining in Panama. And it just happens. It's part of the reality. So deal with it. Anyway, that's the story on that. Now I'm going to burn through the rest of this stuff pretty quick. Roxana Mendez, who is the current mayor of Panama City, is going to run for re-election in 2014. The Cambio Democrático is going to have their primary election. Fedofino, the guy who was going to run for president, then got knocked down to mayor. She was like, I'm surprised that she's going to kick his ass. Fedofino is like, just not ready for prime time. I believe that in the CD primary that Roxana Mendez will win, and that she will be the candidate for 2014. That's my election. I'm making it today on the 4th of March. Let's see how it turns out. That could be wrong, by the way, because I believe Fedofino has got the backing and the money of Ricardo Martinelli. So that could get twisted. Okay, over the weekend, right now, as a matter of fact, there's a cold front sitting just barely north of Panama over Costa Rica. It's been there for a couple of days. and it's blowing roofs off and knocking down trees and knocking down plantations, banana plantations, and it's causing some havoc, raining and just weather. So it's weather things, okay? So there's weather going on in Panama today. It's the early part of March, so this is not the intertropical convergence zone. We're not kicking into rainy season yet. This is just a storm front that's going through, and this too will pass, okay? Associated with this storm front, waves as high as 6 feet tall are on the Caribbean coast of Panama, which is much higher than normal. Normal, that's pretty, calm stuff unless there's a storm. While there's a storm, it's kicking up a lot of waves. In Maria Chiquita, a dude died over the weekend. He got sucked off the beach by the tide and currents and stuff, and he's gone, and they haven't found him yet. But anyway, heads up on the Caribbean side, all you Boca Terrenos and sailing dudes out there, ships at sea, etc., etc. Okay, in the Estrella, school's back in session. They started last week. The transit authority guy that got fired because he didn't have his shit together so that the school kids could ride in the metro bus, well, he's gone. The new guy has come up and said, we are now inspecting all the school buses. So they've got this operation on where they find 30. They have these little, it's basically, they're just little vans, and they pack the school kids in there and they paint them yellow and it says colegialos on the side. Well, they're hitting them. You can't have tinted windows on these things. That's a fine. If it's a school bus, you got tinted windows, you get a fine. You can't have sound systems. I mean, like, you can't do that. So they're cracking down on those guys. All right. Next, there is a strike that is going on that is being held by the Costa Rican bus drivers and Central American bus drivers on the other side of the border in Costa Rica, and they have closed the the passage at Paso Canoas, where the international trucks go up and down the highway between from Panama to the rest of Central America, and there's like 12 Panamanian bus drivers that are stuck on the other side, and these are guys that they bring products from Central America in to Panama and stuff from the free zone out. To be honest with you, this bus driver thing started last week, and I kind of went, because these guys every now and then they get chippy, and I just kind of ignored it. But it's been going on for several days now, and it's going to turn into something. All right, I mean, it's already starting to have an impact, an economic impact, and that's when it kind of catches my attention. So anyway, there you go. Now here's an article about Curundu. President Martinelli has transformed Curundu. Curundu is a neighborhood right there at the intersection of Frangipani, where it hooks in, where Transismica basically starts, right at the bottom of Ancon Hill. There were some really... Curundu used to be, or has always been, I should say, like one of the worst neighborhoods in Panama City for crime and violence and drugs and just all of the social issues that go along with poverty. Well, there's an area in the back of that. They had some buildings, but then there was these old wooden buildings that burned down with regularity. In the back of that, there was like a shanty town. Well, they just went in and blasted that sucker out, removed it, and then put in these bright, shiny brand new buildings, and this was all Martinelli. This is everything that's just been done in the last couple of years, and they're calling it ultra vigilance. I mean, the police are on it. They're installing 100 security cameras just in the area of Curundu, and they've already said that last year, by the first 2 months of 2012, 5 people were murdered in Curundu. This year, 0. So they're fixing Curundu. And that is, once again, it's another one of those things. If you had to make a list of the top 10 things that Martinelli did, you'd go, okay, well, metro bus system, check. Okay, the metro subway system, check. Curundu, I mean, this is like going, wow, that's like taking a major bad part of Panama City and making it better and helping out some people that really need the help. And this is changing a lot of lives. I mean, it's just a good thing. So... along with the issue of security, guess who's coming to Panama? Rudy Giuliani, the former mayor of New York, is going to come down to Panama in May. They're having a security fair in Atlapa in the month of May, and he's coming down to give a speech. So it's making headlines. It's been announced, and here comes Rudy, man. He cleaned up New York, so he knows what he's talking about. I like Rudy. Okay, and here's to finish up. There's an issue that's been going around. The National Assembly passed a law that allows for women to be sterilized, to have their tubes tied, you know. At the age of 23, okay, it's one of these things. Panama's a Catholic country, and now the Catholic Church has come out against this. They don't want. Panama's like, I want to say 85% Catholic, maybe more. I mean, it's big time Catholics. And here's the thing about the Catholic Party. Catholic Party, boy, there's a Freudian slip for you. Catholic Church. The reason why the Catholic Church doesn't want you to use condoms is because they want more Catholics. The reasons why the Catholic Church doesn't want young women to be able to have control over their own bodies as to whether or not they have an abortion or they can sterilize themselves so that they can't, by choice, is because they want more Catholics, okay? It's self-serving. And that's why that in the 20s there was 200-something million Catholics. Now there's 1 billion, okay? The Catholic Church wants more Catholics. That's why they want control over women's bodies. End of story. Like it or not, whatever, agree with me or not, I don't care. Most religions have this in common. They don't want you to shut down the reproduction of children because they want you to create more money for them. It bugs me. It's one of the things that bugs me. My opinion, like it or not, there it is. Okay, that's it. Monday morning, the 4th of March, 2013. If you're out there on the Caribbean coast anywhere, be careful because there's this whole thing with the surf and the weather. And there's storms a brewing, so watch out for things like wind and rain and, who knows, flooding rivers and all the stuff that comes along. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.